Now the Beatles got really funky in the 70s.
Hell
you know?
yeah.
Yeah,
did.
I was actually digging it for a second. Then I was like, wait a minute. This one sounds like a fan made thing.
Wait.
And then
wait,
at the end, right there was Band on the Run from the Wings. Like, all right, okay, now.
Whoa, wait. So, okay. So, yes. Now, in our dimension, Paul McCartney did go on to have a band named Wings, but that's not to say that in this dimension he wouldn't write the same song. The song is about the Beatles. They're being a little self-referential at this point. And what? He's just not supposed to write a great song like Band on the Run if he's still in the Beatles?
I get what you're saying. It's in him. The song is in him, is what you're saying.
Maybe, maybe if he had been thinking about it for years and then finally got around to writing it. Okay, I can see that. But I mean, when you're in a different band, if you just tug it a little bit, but it depends on your bandmates and how they tug. And if they tug the same way as the other band that you were used to, then maybe you could write the same song. But that sounded identical to Wings.
Well, whoa! I don't think
different.
so.
I mean, that guitar was funky. That guitar
lick
is
I
cool.
just meant the way.
I know what you mean.
The vocal track is the same.
Okay.
And I will say, perspicacious listeners will notice elements of a lot of the Beatles solo projects. When We Was Fab by George Harrison. That was George Harrison had a little influence on this song from his In This Universe. I'm Moving On from John Lennon. That's got some musical parts in there from John Lennon's solo album. And the song Vertical Man from Ringo. That's in there too. So all four.
So don't you feel like this is all pretty like too on the nose? Like, oh, let's get a little bit of every bit that's missing from this other dimension. Like that just seems so forced.
I do like that it's not just McCartney and Lennon, writing there. At this point, maybe they had to get along a lot better. They didn't break up. So they're letting everyone in on this. Songs that would have become Vertical Man, I'm Moving On, When We Was Fab. They're just a true collaboration. Now, before we judge, let's go on to song 2 and let's hear track 2, Talking to Myself. Good.
That was pretty good.
Now say what you want, whatever dimension you're in. 70s Beatles, that bops. I'm sorry.
Hot. Totally.
Are these B tracks? Like
no.
How dare you?
No. This is the Rob. Let me get you caught up. I know you get busy producing.
This is the album.
This is an album called
Chemistry.
It's called Everyday Chemistry. It's from a parallel universe where the Beatles did not break up.
Sounds like it just could really possibly be pieces of B tracks, like B-sides, possibly.
Together.
Now,
I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just being crazy.
In this dimension, when the Beatles, the ideas that would have gone on into this song, Talking to Myself, in our dimension, these ideas were split amongst them. John Lennon had the song I'm Losing You, which is, you can be heard in there. George Harrison had a song called Stuck Inside a Cloud. Yep, that's in there. McCartney, he had Uncle Albert / Admiral Halsey, that's in there. And Ringo Starr chimed in with a little bit of his tune, early 1970. And there we are.
That's where it loses me, is the fact that each one has bits of songs that do exist in, our dimension. Like, I would find it a lot more believable if these were just completely new things that we never heard before. But it's too easily faked.
But the Beatles, these guys exist and they were still putting out music, so their influences are coming out. Well, I said that already. You know my stance. Let's go on to song 3 now. Let's hear a little bit of the song Anybody Else.
that song starts turning into a fucking jam.
Yeah.
It is
yeah,
such a
in that first section, and between this song, the beginning of this song, and the other one, Russ, this was reminding me a little bit of Arctic Monkeys and how they're evolving. I just found that to be uncanny.
Yeah, and that's why they're here. They have to pull up the slack in our dimension that was left.
Because that makes sense.
This dimension had the Beatles to do it. So what do you guys think of these songs so far? I mean, pretty sick stuff. I don't know. I enjoy it. I like it.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, they're very good.
Yeah, I love like all the new Beatles remasters, like back when they did that Love remix album, and every time they come out with like new remix albums, like the new mixes from the original masters, I always try to listen to them because
do y'all ever listen to the Beatles Wu-Tang like 36 Magical Mystery Chambers?
No, I have not.
I'm not familiar with that one, but I'll have to check it out.
Oh my god. Dude, it is
let's do
awesome.
a Patreon listen through of that.
It is such a good fucking album. Every track on that, bomb.
Now, what we just heard was the song "Anybody Else," and in our dimension, you heard pieces of that song put together from "Some Days" from Paul McCartney, "One Day at a Time" from John Lennon, and a deep cut "Monkey See, Monkey Do" from Ringo Starr. Now we can go through. There's 11 songs on this album. We probably don't have time to play everyone. I'm going to name you some titles, and if you really just can't help yourself and have to hear it, you just say, let's hear some of that one. Now, track 4 is Sick to Death. Track 5 is Jen. Track 6 is I'm Just Sitting Here. 7 is Soldier Boy. 8 is Over the Ocean. 9 is Days Like These. 10 is Saturday Night. And 11 is Mr. Gator's Swamp Jamboree. Now, I'll let you each pick one. Jude, since you've heard us before, which one of those do you want to hear a little bit of?
I mean, I think Days Like I'm probably conflating Days Like These with the John Lennon in My Universe. Days Like These. Like, nobody told me there'd be days like these.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's hear Rob play a little bit of track 9 for us. Let's hear a little bit of Days Like These.
Surprise.
Yeah, in our universe, some of that can be heard in the song Soft-Hearted Hannah from George Harrison and Nobody Told Me from John Lennon. Drea, I'm going to let you pick one. We got Mr. Gator Swamp Jamboree, Saturday Night, Over the Ocean, Soldier Boy. I'm just sitting here.
Soldier Boy?
Jen and Sick to Death.
I think I know which one I want. You would think I would pick Soldier Boy, but I want to hear the most unassuming one. I'm just sitting here.
All right, and I was going to pick that one too. So let's hear a little bit of track 6, I'm Just Sitting Here. This one might be a little obvious from our universe.
Sitting here watching the wheels go round and round.
Yes, you might recognize Watching the Wheels from John Lennon. And Give Me Love, Peace on Earth from George Harrison, and maybe a little Loser's Lounge from Ringo Starr. Paul wasn't involved in this one. This is a three-man joint there.
He must have died by that point.
Yeah, it's just the Living Boys.
And, maybe you do have a UNLEARN or something. I mean, yeah, it is so... You could easily dismiss this, right? This guy's making up a story. A rabbit hole, 999. He's coming back. But who knows? These songs are really cool. A lot of people say the Beatles would never put this out, but we don't know. There was a lot of shit going on in the 70s.
Yeah, our Beatles probably wouldn't. Yes. I don't doubt that they would have been doing so much skiing that they would think every single song was a good idea.
And they had to be totally, if they were actually getting along for that long and not hating each other, they're different dudes.
Drugs are definitely involved in that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if they've been getting along, we wouldn't have had Hey Jude. And I wouldn't be named. I would not be named you.
You wouldn't have existed in this timeline.
Exactly. I would just be named Charles.
Be a completely different dimension.
James Richards or something.
Shitty dimension.
What if
dimension?
What if our parents? Because I mean, my mom was a huge Beatles fan. My middle name is Paul. So I never said that I was named after Paul McCartney. That came from her. She saw the Beatles play in New Orleans in the '60s. She was total one of those girls you'd just see screaming in those early '60s videos.
Did she pee her pants?
I wet my pants.
She might have pee mine. I don't know. Let's hear a little bit of the last song before we go, because I'm just going to guess that Rob would pick Mr. Gator's Swamp Jamboree. Sounds like something up his down.
Yeah, probably right.
I could call that. So let's hear a little bit of the last track on here. Track 11, Mr. Gator's Swamp Tuggery. Jamboree.
That's exactly what I was going to pick, by the way.
Nice.
I know. Well, my name's Reverend Paul, and I'm here to say I like to talk in the Beatles way. I got my boy Ringo, John, and George. Here we go. It's time to go. Let's get it. And I pass the mic to Freya.
She just picked up her bass and just started playing instead of singing.
Yeah.
Don't interrupt me.
Sorry.
That's my watch number. Alright. That's just a swap for me.
Hit him with the harmonica.
Nope.
I will say,
it feels so 90s.
Ringo.